Hi everybody, Richard Sherman's here again, artificial lawyer. With us for the story that is above and below this video, we are very delighted to have with us Noah and Avanish from Litera and Kira. Hi guys.
Hello.
Hey,
As I was just saying to Noah off camera, 2 or 3 years ago, if I'd read this news, if I'd seen the press release, I probably would have fallen off a sofa in shock. Now it didn't seem that surprising. It just seemed to be a deal that made a lot of sense. Who wants to go first? I mean, how do you feel about this deal? And I guess the second follow-up question immediately has to be, why now?
You want to go first? I know.
sure. So I'm excited about this deal. I think it's really a good deal for both parties and for their customers and for the market and everything. So from our perspective as Kira, I think it's a deal our shareholders are happy with, number one. Number two, I think it's, as we think about our mission and what our mission is at Kira, it was driving towards ubiquity of contract information. And we saw that as breaking down into two pieces. Number one, getting to ubiquity in law firms, right? Which meant that like every time you need to do a task where you could use contract review software, you do use contract review software, much in the same way that virtual data rooms have become ubiquitous, or blacklining tools have become ubiquitous. And so that was one thing that we were trying to accomplish. But we also thought that there were huge opportunities for our sort of excellent ability to pull data out of contracts in corporates. And what we came to realize was that we think we can achieve both better separately, that Litera is perfectly positioned to keep driving towards ubiquity in large law firms because they already have great penetration and just customers like them and a really good focus on legal markets. And I think they'll be able to bring that extra focus and just help push towards ubiquity in large law. And in the meantime, doing this transaction allows a small portion of us to continue with attacking the corporate market in some ways that we think are interesting and distinctive, and to do that with our full focus. So we think it's really good for sort of what we were trying to accomplish, as well as for our shareholders. I think for our employees, I think it opens up a lot of interesting opportunities on both sides of the transaction, because there just will be change and that opens up opportunities. So we think for our customers, it's good. Like, we know Litera customers, they seem enthusiastic, and they're the same customers as we have in a whole lot of cases. So we think it should be really good for them. So when we thought about this transaction, we just realized that by sort of passing the baton on the large law business to Litera, we could see that race finished maybe even better than we could finish it, because they're a place that has real expertise and has achieved ubiquity around its blacklining tools. Yeah. And at the same time that we could go on and put a lot of focus into something that we think needs a lot of focus and deserves a lot of focus.
Gotcha. No, well, and I guess that makes absolute sense. And we'll talk about Zuva in a minute, which is the separate part you just mentioned or alluded to. But why now? Why now? I mean, the company's been on a pretty good growth surge for, well, a decade. Then you had that 50 million from Insight. We'll talk about that shortly as well, which obviously helped. But then you didn't use this until very, very recently. And obviously there was a bit of a restructuring, the pandemic. I imagine there were pros and cons from the pandemic in terms of the growth of the business, but I guess the key question is, with that as the background, why do this now? I mean, what was the inspiration for it?
You could do it at any point in time, but as we started to talk with Litera, we realized there was an opportunity to do a deal like this, which is like really not a standard deal, right? Like, it's not a deal I think we could have negotiated with many or anyone else, right? Where we're kind of splitting off the business like this, but because Litera has such a strong focus on the legal market and have sort of a disciplined EBITDA focus as well, we thought there was opportunity to kind of split out some of the things that we were doing that weren't making money yet, but we thought had the potential to make a lot of money over time. And some of the things that make a good amount of money now, but are also on a good path and have a lot of potential growth. And it, could we have done this deal in 6 months? Like, yeah, we actually thought, maybe we should, like, Avani should smile, like, it was like at a point, we did think about doing it in 6 months or a year, or, it could have been at any time, but it was a good deal. And we thought that it was a good deal to do now. But again, we equally could have done it in 6 months or a year and 6 months. Like, there was nothing that said, like, we'd better do this by September 1st or else, like.
Was there something that kind of inspired it? I mean, like, kind of as you bounced out of the restructuring that you went through, and I mean, did you just kind of look at the way the market was shaping up, and with the capital that you had behind you, and just think, look, this doesn't make sense as we currently are. If we get Insight to effectively fold back that money into a share of Litera, and as you say, we spin off part of the business and give the rest over to Litera, then we kind of solve all of our challenges.
No, it really, no, like, in fact, actually, I think this year was probably, like, you never know until the year is done, but I feel pretty good about how Kira was going to finish out this year. I think law market's looking pretty nice. And I think like our position in it is quite dominant. For contract analysis software to law firms. Like, I really struggle to think of a firm beyond with the exception of Slaughter May that, like, heavily uses a competitor's software. And I think if anything, more and more firms seem super receptive to our message of total diligence. And I think we're making really good progress there. Had, like, actually a good team focused on that stuff. Like, some of our people, like Cananza Mann and Troy Benedict, were really starting to connect and, like, work really well with customers. And I think that it would have finished out fine. You never know until it's done. Rather, like, the story is a lot less exciting than that. Litera came to us with a proposal. We weren't that excited about doing a transaction, but as we started to think about it a little bit more, we realized that there might actually be an opportunity to do a transaction with Litera that, again, I don't think we could have necessarily done with probably anyone else, where their interests lined up with ours in a way that made us feel like there was just an opportunity to do a deal that could be attractive.
But can I ask, how does maybe Avanish as well can chip in on this? I mean, how does Insight fit into this? So you got that cash, which was $50 million in 2018, and I remember talking to you the last time during the restructuring that you'd only really just started to touch that money kind of last year, if I remember rightly, and obviously some of that cash, I presume, has gone into taking this equity stake in Litera alongside HG, which will remain obviously a dominant shareholder. Is that kind of how it works? I mean, you effectively refolded that money back in, or have you sort of paid out people who had lined up as investors? I mean, how is that structured?
So our only outside investor ever was Insight, right? Like, we never took in money from anyone else, and the only people who were Kira shareholders were employees and maybe, like, one or two people who'd been advisors to us, right? Like, it was people who were connected to us. So that was the basic structure. And then Insight came in. And yeah, Insight sort of is excited about both businesses and is going to participate in both businesses. So, like, it's not like Insight put the money into us, and when they put the money into us, they came to own a portion of a sort of minority portion of our shares. And they're really excited about the Litera business. I think they think there's a good opportunity there. And they also think our new business is a good opportunity. And we'll sort of talk more about their participation in that as we get closer to launching Zuva.
And did Insight put any pressure on you to sell?
No, I think Insight are a terrific investor. They let us make our own choices. And in this situation, thanks to having raised that money in 2018, like, sort of prior to 2018, we ran the business on a kind of break alone or even somewhat profitable basis, right? Because we had no outside money. So if you have no outside money, you can't really lose money. However, when you raise a bunch of money, you actually should lose money, because right now markets reward different things, but one of the things markets reward is growth. And so if you have the money to grow, like Litera has the money to grow, but in their case, the markets reward earnings. But in our case, the markets rewarded growth. So if you have the money and you think you can invest it in stuff that'll make you grow faster, then you should invest it in stuff and make it grow faster. And that's what we were able to do because of raising money. But anyways, the Insights are they're a good investor. They saw Litera, they thought it was a good opportunity, just as HG has seen in Litera, and I think Litera has delivered on that over the past bunch of years.
Well, let me just go back to Avanish. So Avanish, I mean, why you wanted Kira, almost know the answer already, but I'd like to hear it from you. I mean, you know, it makes total sense. But what inspired you to do this deal, and how is Kira going to fit in?
Yes, we've been, over the last 5 years growing fairly well and throughout the legal market, right? So we've done a really good job with drafting tools. We launched a global transaction management platform, a litigation tool. We've gone to data and data analytics now with Foundation Software Group, Clocktomizer, Objective Manager. So as we saw, specifically in our transaction management space, the deal volume growing and the customer account growing, we keep looking for opportunities to bring, as Noah says, total diligence, but total deal opportunity to a firm. So it perked our interest sometime end of last year to say, what can we add to Litera Transact to make it more robust and keep the attorney and fee earners in a ecosystem longer versus having them to leave to go do work. Similar to Microsoft Word, we try to keep attorneys there as long as possible to create documents and finalize documents. So if we can do the same thing in our platform, we felt like that was a good opportunity to maximize opportunities for the attorney and partners. So when we stepped back and looked at the marketplace, as we have in the past, we always look for the top tier opportunity, and Kira has been the top tier opportunity for years at this point. And we, and fortunately for us, myself and Haley and a few others have good relationships with Noah, so we can have a honest first phone call and say, hey, we're thinking about this idea of building a more robust end-to-end solution in transaction management. What do you think about it? And that's how the conversation started, and we went down a path of brainstorming ideas. But you can go acquire other contract analytics tools, but then you're convincing the market that you're best of breed. We've always believed to buy the best product and the best company to add to our platform versus just buying any piece of technology. So
you didn't fancy luminance. I'm pulling your leg. But no, but seriously, I mean, no, and it makes absolute total sense. But I mean, how much of Kira is coming over? So if Noah I know he's going to be a strategic advisor.
So I'm going to be involved in both businesses. I am the CEO of Zuva, but I'm also I love working with our customers and teams. And one of the things that's totally woken me up a ton over the last bunch of months has been talking to partners at law firms where we think we have a pitch telling them why they need to be reviewing every contract all the time. And it's really been resonating with partners. And so I'm still going to be spending about 20% of my time doing that, helping Litera out as a strategic advisor. I'm not going to have anyone reporting to me, but I think I'll be able to do a set of Litera is in good shape on that. And I'll have more than enough people like doing the reporting stuff over on the Zuva side. But I'm really very happy that I get to stay involved in Kira and help it drive towards ubiquity.
But how many people are going from Kira over to Litera?
It's in the 30 to 40 range.
So and how many are going with Zuva?
Oh, sorry, 30 to 40. Sorry, 30 to 40 are going to Zuva, and the remainder are going to Kira. So it's probably about 25% are going to Zuva. It's basically so Zuva is, it's hard to talk about this in a bubble, right? Like there are, Kira had sort of two things going on. Number one, we had this workbench business that sold primarily to law firms, but also accounting firms and corporates who needed to do project-based contract review tasks, right? So, and I think it was thoroughly dominant. Like if you needed a project to do a project-based contract review, you were almost like very heavily likely to use Kira. Like it was the the dominant technology in that area, I believe, especially with law firms. So that business was established, like it has like an established sales team, it has there's a marketing team, there's customer success teams, and then like a whole product group and a lot of attention focused on that. We realized a few years ago, a bunch of years ago, that there were lots of people that we had built technology that was really excellent at pulling data out of contracts. And that while that was super useful for law firms, and we didn't think there was anybody who'd kind of built anything close to us in terms of technology that pulled data out of contracts. And it's been a huge investment for us over the last 10 and a half years. And it's exceedingly hard to do well. And we realized that there were a lot of other situations like years and years ago where you could use this technology. So for example, like contract management is an example of that, but there's lots of other situations. Like maybe you just feel like getting the data from your contracts, not into a contract management system, but into like NetSuite or PeopleSoft or Salesforce or Gainsight or any of those systems. And we thought that, or some other system. And so we've had efforts on the corporate side for years, and we've had a bunch of successful corporate customers. But over the last, especially year and a half, 2 years, we've put a huge amount of investment into 2 new products targeting the corporate market. And so what Zuva is basically pulling the people out who work on those specific products, as well as, and those products are pre-launch. I think the first of those products will launch in September. It already has a couple customers and we're very enthusiastic about it. And we're also pulling out our research team, and I can explain that in a second, and some people from some other teams that support those things, as well as a few administrative people.
Gotcha. And I guess the key question is, aside from yourself, is Alex coming with you?
Yeah, Alex is.
That's Alex Hudek, the CTO and
co-founder. Yeah, Alex Hudek, yeah, my co-founder. Alex is going to be an advisor, strategic advisor, and board member of Zuva. And he'll also provide some support services to Kira, but I on a day-to-day basis, it's not like Alex is building machine learning tech these days, right? So really glad that we'll have Alex helping with Nuco, but he's not going to be like day-to-day involved. Like just running a business for 10 and a half years is
he needs to enjoy himself a bit.
Well, you know,
relax a bit.
Enjoyment is. Like, I don't know if Alex has like plans to go to like Aruba and sit on a beach for like 6 months or anything like that.
Well, let me just go back to Avinash. We've known Alex not there full time. Obviously, you feel confident that you've still got a great product and great team to deliver what you need. Were you a bit taken aback when Noah said, "Actually, I'm not coming with you," or "I'm only going to be there 20% of the time"?
At this point, it doesn't surprise us, and I personally feel really a sense of pride to help founders find their next chapter in their life. Like all that coach has done, every founder has found their path, whether it's with Litera or whether it's outside Litera. We were fortunate that he has agreed to keep staying involved as an advisor and working with us through go-to-market conversations. But he's built a good team. We've got some really good individuals that are right below Noah and Alex are going to step up and play a big role in the combo co over time. And for us, that's a great opportunity to give folks a chance to step up, take a bigger seat at the table over time, and keep driving their vision forward. So for us, it's for me humbling. It's always great to give a chance for a founder to go try something new.
Yeah, like the next level of leadership at Kira and the level beyond that is like there's some really good, really strong people in there. And ultimately also Litera is good at doing this stuff as well, right? Like they are used to selling and building product for and serving these exact same customers, right? So it's not like they need us to do this, like they can do this very well. There's a set of things that I can do really well, like talking to partners about why they should be doing their transaction diligence differently, right? Like that is something I'm really well suited to. There's other people in Kira who are also well suited to doing that, but like people like me doing that, and I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to pass things back to Litera that I hear in the field and do lots of stuff. But in terms of managing a software business, like they have, I don't know, 640 employees before this acquisition. Like they can handle managing our people, I think.
Gotcha. No, fair enough, fair enough. And I have to ask, although I know you're going to say no, but I mean, what was the sale price? I remember once, no, years ago, I think it was in Shoreditch, and we were joking around about one day, far, far in the future, what Kira would sell for. And I remember you you were saying it as a joke. I remember you said something around, oh, about $400 million. But I mean, are you anywhere close to that?
I can't say.
I had to ask.
And I don't think it's done yet, right? Like you actually
Mhm.
can't say what the whole thing is, because part of the opportunity, we're realizing part of the opportunity right now, but we're still keeping a lot of chips on the table, right? Like I am far from going to Aruba and sitting on a beach, right? Like I can tell you, last night I was up doing FAQs until like the wee hours, preparing for employees of the new business, right? So
It wasn't tempting. I mean, you've worked incredibly hard. I mean, the whole team has, but you and Alex particularly worked incredibly hard. And I remember we did at your 10th anniversary interview not long ago. You're not tempted to say, I'm going to take a sabbatical and just chill?
oh yeah, I'm super tempted to do that. Like who wouldn't be? But um, I am really, I think there's a moment of time right now where there's a really amazing opportunity to take some of the technology that we've built and put it into a corporate market that's developing, where we think we bring something really unique and actually helpful to the table. And I don't think that opportunity is going to exist in 2 years or anything like that. And so even though I would like love to just sit and read and recover, like this is a grueling experience, as I think Avanish is experiencing as well. And like every sort of leader of a growing tech company or a SaaS company, I think would say, like, it is really grueling. You can use a break, but I'm so excited about the opportunity and also the team that I'll be working with on it. Like it just, I think it's an amazing opportunity. And I would feel really badly if I didn't take the opportunity to seize this.
No, absolutely. Well, just very quickly, just last couple of things. Do you feel, I mean, this is a sort of broader question. I mean, do you feel that in some ways Kira's deal with Litera, it kind of sends a broader message to the market that, NLP doc analysis companies can't really, or perhaps even shouldn't necessarily be operating on their own, at least of those big projects, those sort of transactionally driven projects that, everybody wants a kind of joined up, legal ecosystem these days, and that just operating off on your own in isolation just isn't really going to work anymore.
I wouldn't.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think what if anything this should do is give people more opportunities to think of ways to create technology to solve specific problems and become experts at that. And then maybe what we're showing here is that there could be an outcome for you to build really smart technology that is domain focused. This should not be a deterrent from doing those type of things. It should be, if anything, showing you that there's an outcome to be had by building good technology that's market leading, and you as a founder could have a good result from that investment and an idea.
Yeah, like I don't think like we're happy with this deal. I think if we hadn't done this deal and we'd kept operating for another year, like it's not like, so if you think about it, like ways that you can compete with places, right? Like you can either go more specific or you can go more general, right? So for example, like we evaluated what would have happened if Litera had bought, like if we decided not to do a deal with Litera and they bought like Luminance or another competitor, right? And so then they'd have like this horizontal platform and we'd have something that was sort of better, but for a more specific use case. And if you need to do something general, you'd go with Litera. And we were like, we feel okay about that. Like we feel like the horizontal one will appeal to some firms, but we feel really good about just how well we've been performing with people who need contract analysis technology like ours. Like I was saying at the start, if there's a law firm and they're using technology like ours, it's almost certainly ours, right? And so I felt very good about our ability to continue executing on that side, but this was a good deal. And like Avanish says, like, you don't have to, I don't know, like, I don't think we need to, like, does Noah and the Kira shareholders need to capture like every last bit of revenue in this market before we exit or something like that? Or is it okay to sort of focus on one thing while you hand it off to a really capable and maybe even more capable set of others, and allow some super capable leaders on your own team to step up and take on more responsibility? Like, to me, that just seems like a good thing to do right now. And I don't think it says any broader message apart from, as Avanish says, that there can be good outcomes if you build a product that's really dominant in a niche.
Fantastic. Just very last word from both of you. We'll go Avanish and then, you know, just to round off. So, I mean, to you, what does this mean? I mean, bringing in Kira, which probably must be one of the bigger acquisitions that you've made. I mean, what does that mean to Litera?
You know, for us, it's a continuation of the focus we've had for the last 2 years. You know, we're looking to accomplish three things for all of our customers. Number one is, can we help our customers retain their clients longer? And we think that we can do that if we can help produce high quality work on time and on budget. Kira is a perfect vehicle to do all three of those things. The second thing we try to do is help law firms increase their margins. Kira, check mark. Huge opportunity here to help firms doing diligence, doing big deals, to not only maintain increased margins, but also de-risk the deal significantly by reviewing every potential document in the data room. And then finally, we really look to have an impact on end user happiness. Now, there isn't a single first, second, or third year associate that'll tell you they love reviewing documents and creating memos about data. This is a great way to expand that. So our three focus areas are completely checkmarked with the Kira opportunity. And for us, that feels really good. And we're super excited about bringing this together and taking the initial vision and making it part of a bigger story.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. And Noah, naturally to you, the last words, how does it feel to sell the baby that you created?
Obviously there's an element at which it's bittersweet, right? Like I've loved working with our team. There's a bunch of people, and one of the things that I'm really glad about with that kind of time that I'll be spending helping Kira within Litera is that I'll continue to get to work with a bunch of them, especially the customer facing ones. So, but I am sad about that, right? Like I really am fond of so many of the people and I've loved watching them develop over the years. And I'll be sad to not be working with them every day. I'm also sad because I'll be in the legal market less, right? Like we're targeting a corporate market and there's just a lot of people that I care about in that market. There is a lot of crossover with the corporate market. So I don't think I'm like gone forever and I'll still be involved in that, but I'll be involved in it less. And there's a lot of relationships there with customers and with others in that market who I care about as people. And so I'll miss that. And there's also like a feeling where, you know, you'd like to just take the product to ubiquity yourself, and kind of passing it off does feel a little weird, right? Like you're saying, ultimately what we're saying with this is that we think we can do better in both areas if we focus them, right? But so it's kind of, I was explaining to someone, it's like, who was a good athlete on our team, and saying, did you ever play two sports and at a point you decided to give one of them up, right? And when you give one of them up, you're kind of saying like, you know, you'd like to be the Olympic champion in both sports, right? But at a point you realize like, okay, that's probably not going to happen, that I'm going to be the Olympic champion in both sports. But I might be able to be an Olympic champion in one of these sports, right? And so there, like, you're sitting up on the podium, or we haven't yet sat on the podium, but you're sitting there and you're saying, well, like, okay, like I won the Olympic gold in rowing, but like, I didn't win it in cycling too, or something like that. Like, probably not, right? I think what we came to realize was that if we were going to sit up and achieve all that we were trying to achieve, that we'd achieve that better if we were more focused. And I think that's why you see people in the Olympics who are highly focused, right? Like they do it because if you are focused, you can drive farther. And the amazing thing about this, though, as opposed to like, a future Olympian or something like that who has to choose either cycling or rowing. The amazing thing about this is we were able to hand off our cycling aptitude so far to a group of people who actually can probably take what we've done and maybe even do it better than we were doing it. And so it's actually a pretty incredible thing. So on the whole, like there is a bittersweet side, but like there's also just a sweet side. Like this is really, I think, a great deal for our shareholders. I think it's a great deal for our shareholders on the whole. I think it's a great deal for our customers. And I think it'll be great for the market as Zuva brings its products to market, because I think there'll be really positive things. And we're already seeing really nice traction on the first one that's coming to market soon. So I feel like good. I also feel tired, just as a thing. Like summer 2021 has not been the relaxing summer that I needed. But
there's always next year.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Like last year was the book, this year this. I don't even feel like thinking about next year. But
well, you're still both really young, so
I feel a lot older right now, Richard.
Well, tell me about it. Thanks, guys. Fantastic. Well, congratulations on the deal, and good luck with everything to both of you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Richard.
Thanks, Richard.
Take care.